There's been quite a few reviews of the new Apple Studio display, and it seems like the general consensus is that people don't like it. And I gotta be honest, I think most of these reviews are wrong. I think they miss the most important aspect of this monitor, which is not specs, it's not what it says on paper, it's quality of life. One of the things that YouTubers always do is just show this like completely immaculate setup all the time. I'm honestly completely guilty of it. I've done desk setups and studio tours where everything just looks super clean and minimal and like I don't actually exist as a human being. But the reality is when you actually start working and doing things and getting videos done and actually just being an actual person, things get messy. Things don't always look super clean and minimal. And on top of that, the tech that we use is not always designed to be minimal. It's usually designed in a way that's much more function than fashion or design. And so in turn, a lot of this stuff just looks clunky and kind of crappy. So when the studio display was announced, I wasn't looking at it like, oh, this is a really nice 5K panel. I can't wait to get like a really good color profile and stuff. Like it was more, this thing can actually clean up my setup and do all the things that I need it to do simply and easily. I talk about this all the time on this channel, but like for me, I'm a scatterbrain. I'm all over the place when it comes to ideas, and when something strikes and I want to make something, I need the least amount of barriers to get to making that thing. Because if there's any friction in that process, my brain just sort of goes somewhere else. I should probably see somebody about it, but that's just the way I am. And so things like a mess and cables and crap everywhere actually is a huge barrier for me in my creative process. And I've just tried to find solutions that I thought worked and they would work temporarily, but as you start working, you start doing things, it gets messier and messier. You plug more things in here. I gotta add this microphone. I gotta get speakers. I gotta all this stuff ends up on your desk and my brain just says, nah, I'm good. I don't really feel like making anything anymore because I don't know how to clean any of this crap up. Like even something as simple as like having to go on a Zoom call for work with a client. Like the way I have to think about, okay, yeah, so I use a Mac Mini, so if I actually want to go on a call, this thing doesn't have a webcam, and do I really want to buy a crappy external webcam? I'm a filmmaker, I should have a really nice video setup, so I gotta set up a mirrorless camera, and so now I have this whole arm and a mirrorless camera, and then I gotta get a stupid dongle to go from HDMI into my computer, all to get something for a Zoom call that everyone looks with like a potato on their call anyways. And so like, why am I the one loser with a really nice video setup? It means absolutely nothing. It's my own brain getting in the way of something that could be super simple. And so that's why this studio display just like answers every one of those little issues that were stopping me from being happy while creating. And it sounds stupid, like how's a monitor stopping you from being creative? It's the accoutrement. It's everything that kind of surrounds a monitor. And like when we work and we do this stuff and we make videos, this is mission control, you know? This is like where we sit and do probably 80 to 90% of the things that we do for our work. Yes, we're out shooting, yes, we're out filming all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, like whether you're promoting yourself, making YouTube videos, you're doing essays, you're tweeting, you're doing Instagram, all that stuff happens at your desk. So for me, I really think it should be the most beautifully elegant system for you to get the most of your work done. Okay, let's start with design and aesthetics. It is very clear that this is a beautiful monitor. We're kind of taking the aesthetic of iPads and even the new iPhones as well as the new iMac and pretty much everything that Apple makes now. So hard corners, hard edges, nice and minimal and clean and simple. You're getting a little bit of that mesh that kind of feels like a Mac Pro and also feels like the Studio Mac, which we also have and you'll see in this video too, but we're not gonna talk about the Mac in this video just yet. Might save that for another one. But aesthetically, you know, very minimal bezels. It doesn't have the chin that an iMac has. It's just a really gorgeous looking display that looks just as good from behind as it does from the front. I opted for the built-in stand, and the reason for that is I figured I'm not gonna spend another 400 bucks for the adjustable, and I'm very tired of VESA mounts too, which is part of that whole thing of us talking about like clutter and crap on our desk. I think a VESA mount doesn't look very nice and it's sort of just always there and in the way, and it just kind of kills the vibe of the lines of your setup. And so for me, I was like, look, I'm gonna go with the built-in stand, and I have an adjustable desk, so if it needs to go higher or lower, I can just adjust the desk and I can put it on things, put it on risers. And honestly, my favorite setup so far is actually just putting it on the Mac Studio, which is weird because I haven't seen a whole lot of other people do this, but it almost feels like it was made to do this, even though it's not in any of their marketing materials. I also want to talk about the speakers. It's so nice to not have to have desktop speakers on my desk anymore. Truly, I love the iLoud micros, and I think if we move out of the space and I have a little bit more room for like a separate desk or something like that, I'll bring those back out. But the sound of these speakers is so good and clear and crisp that it totally warrants the removal of dedicated speakers. Are they as loud as a nice pair of bookshelves? No, but I don't really think that matters because the quality of life improvement of not having that crap on the desk and having really nice sound coming from the monitor itself far outweighs any sound improvements of dedicated speakers. Now, if you're in music and you do production and you really want great monitors, I think you should still have desktop speakers. But for the vast majority of us that are doing video editing, podcast editing, production, all that kind of stuff, I think these speakers sound spectacular. Let's talk about the webcam, because this has been a bit of a touchy subject since this thing came out. And honestly, here's my take on it. I don't care what your webcam looks like. Honestly, if you join a call and you have like a really, really nice setup, I kind of think you're a bit of a clown. I'm like, what's your priority here? You're just trying to make yourself look good? Like, what's going on? If you're really getting stuff done and you're getting work done, throw your laptop open, use a crappy webcam you get on Amazon. Like, I truly do not care about the quality of someone's webcam. And with this webcam, it looks just as shitty as every other webcam, which means, in my opinion, it's actually perfect. And on top of that, I really don't even think it's that bad. It looks like a webcam, and that's really all I could ask for. What I do really love is that it now has center stage. So this is something that originally came out with the iPad. And so as you move around, this thing's gonna track you, which I think is really cool. Are we moving around a lot on calls? No, but it is kind of interesting that if you were to move around, it kind of just keeps you centered in the frame, and it really feels like the eye lines match a little bit better when you have center stage on, and you also get the portrait effects, which is nice. You don't have to use the crappy ones that are built into Google Meet or Zoom. But in general, I'm just like really confused as to why people are so upset about this webcam. It's a webcam, get over it. Let's talk about the actual display itself. I know we've been talking about a lot of amenities and all these sort of accoutrement that comes with it. And like I said at the beginning, this is actually the least of my concerns. I know Apple's gonna make a nice display. I have used the M1 iMac previously, which has a very similar 4.5K panel. And I know a lot of people are just upset that this just seems to be the 5K panel from the iMac 27-inch, and they've just sort of put it into this new enclosure. And I'm just sort of like, good. It's a really nice panel. The 5K is a perfect resolution for video editors because it means when you're editing 4K video, you're actually seeing the native resolution. And then the remainder of that resolution is for your UI. So you're not having scaling issues or anything like that when you actually see your images on screen. On top of that, because this is an Apple display, the color profile, the scaling, all that stuff is just embedded into the machine, and you never have to worry about it. Previously, I would always have to calibrate my monitors just to get the color right, and still, it never really matched my other Apple displays. Now it's exceptionally nice to have a display that matches my iPhone, my MacBook Pro, my iPads. Everything is consistent, and I just really don't have to worry about it. It's just no sweat from me to understand and know that the color looks correct. And so you can get hung up on 4K and be like, yeah, there's a ton of 4K monitors out there, but they just don't play nice with Mac, which is a whole other thing. Like, I used to have sleep-wake issues all the time with my BenQ monitor before, where I'd have to actually restart the entire computer just to get the monitor to turn on. And it's like those little things, these like creature comforts that this monitor brings, it makes a world of difference to me and my creativity and my willingness to make the things that I want to make. I know this panel is also only 60 Hertz, another thing that I truly do not care about, and I have Apple products that have ProMotion and 120 Hertz. It does nothing for me. I don't game on this thing. It really makes no difference. I even made sure that my TV was 60 Hertz. I don't want to deal with anything higher than that. I think it looks fine and it looks great at 60 Hertz. So it's not a concern for me. HDR content still looks absolutely stellar on this thing too, even though it isn't technically HDR by whatever definition you want to use. You can watch HDR content on it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Do you get the local dimming zones and all that stuff from like the mini LED on the iPad Pro or the XDR within the MacBook Pro? No, but it still looks fantastic. And I don't make HDR content. I have no plans to make HDR content. And at 600 nits, I'm usually using this thing at like 40, 50% anyways. And I'm in a fairly bright little loft here. So for me, honestly, the display itself is more than perfect for my needs. And so yes, $15.99 is not cheap for a monitor, but for me, all the stuff that it adds to my life and my quality of life as a creative, it's kind of priceless. And so that being said, I actually think it's perfect for the target market too. If you need all that stuff that's in the XDR display, odds are you have the budget and the infrastructure to spend the money on that XDR display. If you're someone like myself who kind of needs that middle ground, this is ultimately the best 5K monitor that's on the market right now. There really is no competition at this resolution, with a nice built-in webcam, built-in speakers, and then also just a design philosophy that blows the doors off every other monitor on the market, truly. There's no other monitor that looks as nice as this one, and so when you sit down to work, you're like, damn, I want to make something. I want to make something that looks good here. This feels nice. This feels right. And so honestly, I just think that's something a lot of people missed with this monitor. They dismissed it because of what it says on paper, and they didn't actually use it. They just looked at it and compared it to everything else as opposed to practically looking at it of what it actually does for creatives. I'm still deciding whether or not I'm gonna do an actual Mac Studio video. I'm gonna spend some more time with it. So far, I just feel like, yeah, it's a Mac Mini and it's faster and it just feels like it would be kind of a boring video. But if you have questions about it that you want me to address or anything that you specifically think I should speak about, I'm open to some suggestions. At this very particular moment though, I'm just sort of like, I like it. It's kind of for me. Maybe I won't make a video. Maybe this thing is just for me and I'll have it for myself and I don't have to share everything with the world, right? So anyways, my name's Patrick Damaso. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions about anything in this video, I've also listed all the things that are on my desk in case you're curious about any of the accessories and all that stuff. So that's all in the description so you can pick up that stuff for yourself. At the end of the day, quality of life, remove all those barriers and friction between you and the thing that you want to make, and I guarantee you'll be much happier with the things that you make. Thank you so much for watching, and you will see me next time I feel like making a video. Cheers.